Ready for you.
Now call this meeting to order. The emergency meeting scheduled for January 7, 2026, adjourning today, January 9, 2026. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, please take roll call.
President Carmela Garnica,
Here.
Director Trina Sarden. Ms. Sarden, you're muted.
I'm present.
Thank you. Director Dr. David Brooks is absent. Director Sandra Hudson.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, emergency agenda. The public shall have an opportunity to address the board on the items described in the agenda before consideration of that item pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3A. The board has a policy of limiting any speaker to not more than 3 minutes. The board is prohibited by law from considering any other business at this meeting. A. Determination by the district that prompt action is necessary due to the threatened disruption of public healthcare facilities. The district is being asked to consider making a finding that an emergency meeting of the board of directors is necessary pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.5A1 and B, involving matters upon which prompt action is necessary due to the threatening disruption of public health care facilities. A recommendation from the CEO officer recommends that the board hold this emergency meeting. Are there any questions from the board regarding this meeting?
Dr. Brooks has resigned.
Tina,
No, not at this time.
do you have any public comment?
I have public comment. I have a statement I'd like to read. Evening, thank you, members of the public who are here tonight, to those who continue to care deeply about the future of healthcare in our community. I speak tonight with respect for this institution, also with an obligation to speak honestly. Speak louder. Palo Verde Healthcare District exists for one purpose: to provide and protect healthcare for the people of this valley. We must acknowledge this mission has been profoundly failed. This failure has not occurred suddenly, nor was it caused by a single crisis or decision. It was the result of a prolonged pattern of mismanagement, lack of transparency, and the systematic failure of governance by the administration, legal counsel, and the board itself. When I resigned from the board 7 to 8 years ago, the hospital's financial condition was relatively stable. Even at that time, I was concerned that the electronic medical record system they had implemented was insufficient, costly, and resulting in substantial financial losses. Those warnings were ignored. We now know the hospital lost more than $20 million, both from paying for that defective system and from billing and collection failures directly attributed to it. In late 2024, I was asked to return to the board, and I did, to find out that they had wasted $2.5 million on a modular clinic when the budget was $500,000, that it would be worthless if the hospital were to close. I agreed to serve under one clear condition: that the board commit to genuine course correction, free of self-interest and favoritism. From the beginning, nearly every effort I made to address board issues was obstructed by Sandra Anaya, Trina Sarden, and Carmela Garnica. Their actions consistently tried to arrest personal financial interests in the protection of friends and family members' jobs over the survival of the hospital and welfare of the community. The result is the hospital's imminent closure. To date, the hospital has paid approximately $400,000 in interest and fees on this loan they took to the IGT fund, which they were unable to obtain. Money that should have been used to pay employees and maintain hospital operations. And contrary to the public narrative, the IGT funding was never approved. Nevertheless, just prior to the new year, the board issued a press release congratulating itself on the hopes of securing IG coupons. A statement that appeared to be misleading and is. This pattern of disregarding rules and manipulating process and eroding public trust is precisely why the board and administration have destroyed this hospital. They can no longer be entrusted with the governor's or with the future of healthcare in this community. Hospitals do not collapse because conditions are different. They collapse when financial oversight is needed. When warning signs are ignored, the leadership avoids accountability, and when critical decisions are made without full transparency to the public they serve. Over time, basic fiduciary responsibilities were not adequately met. Financial clarity was replaced with confusion. Loans, contracts, and operational decisions should be formed without sufficient scrutiny or clear public explanation. A culture developed where asking questions was treated as a disruption rather than duty. The role of the board is not symbolic. It is not passive. It is not simply to approve recommendations. The board's responsibility is to ask hard questions, demand clear answers, and protect public assets. When that responsibility is neglected or delegated without oversight, the consequences are severe. And today our hospital stands as evidence of that failure. It's not about personalities. It's about performance. It's about responsibility. It's about a public institution entrusted to billions of dollars and the health and safety of an entire community. Our community deserves better. Our staff deserves better. The patients deserve better. Perhaps what's troubling is not only where we are today, but how long concerns were raised and dismissed a little ago. How many warning signs were minimized? How many opportunities were lost to correct course before reaching this point? Accountability is not punishment. Accountability is the foundation of public trust. Without it, there could be no recovery. If the Palo Verde Healthcare District is to have a future, it must begin with honesty about the past, transparency in the present, and leadership that understands its duty to the public, not preserving positions, contracts, or appearances. Tonight, I ask that we stop pretending this outcome is unavoidable and then begin acknowledging the decisions and failures that have led us here. Only then can we begin the difficult and necessary work that we believe for us in affecting this community's future. And I thank you for listening to me.
Okay, so we will now open for public comment. Is there any public comment?
Yes, there is. May I make a comment?
Who's speaking? Oh, okay.
I'm John
Yeah.
Ruffetto.
Okay, yes.
May I proceed, ma'am?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. My name is John Ruffetto, and I'm a 50-year veteran of the healthcare industry. I was one of the pioneers that created the HMO industry and the managed care industry. And I've worked with many, many hospitals, hundreds of hospitals around the United States and abroad, with USAID and many other organizations through the years. I'm familiar with the problems at Palo Verde Hospital, and I must take responsibility for some of them because I was one of the pioneers that founded the HMO industry, which is the key villain in this entire story. The HMOs, we started the HMOs in the city, and over the years, over the many decades, we expanded into suburbs and then into rural areas. And when we arrived in the rural areas, we signed up a lot of people, and we sent the patients into the nearest city for care. And this is what's going on in Blythe. Blythe is not, the hospital is not being used primarily. Now, of course, it's closed, but the hospital declined over years, and I've seen the statistics, mainly because the HMOs came into town, enrolled all the Medicare and Medicaid beneficiaries, not all of them, but most of them, practically all the Medicaid and Medi-Cal beneficiaries, and about half of the Medicare beneficiaries, and 50 to 60 to 70% of everyone else in the commercial insurance business. And they were referred to Eisenhower and Tennant and Loma Linda for care. We have a proposal in front of the hospital to create a joint strategic partnership with them, along with our infrastructure, which includes an IPA network in Imperial County and Coachella Valley of hundreds of doctors, that we can team up with the hospital and structure a package that can finance the reopening of the hospital, the remodeling of the hospital, the equipping of the hospital, bringing in modern equipment, and to do all this over a period of 6 months to a year. And we can have a viable hospital that will be used significantly. And in the near future, 3 or 4 years from now, we can build a new hospital. And we can actually open the hospital in 3 or 4 years. The planning process it takes several years to go through the planning process and break ground and build the building, but it can all be accomplished in 3 to 4 years. So I encourage you to take any funding you can get to keep the hospital going while we work together with the hospital to achieve this joint strategic partnership with them. And we'd like to start that partnership next week if we can, so that we can start working on revitalizing the hospital and reopening it. There's rural health transformation funding available from Washington.
3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, any more public comment?
Hi, my name is Eli C. Owens. I'm actually running for Congress in our district. I've actually, we put together a little proposal to try to help save this hospital. I think no one really cares how this thing came about. I'm pretty sure we all don't really care what the reasons are. We just need it saved. In my opinion, this is a national emergency. Like, it's a national emergency. Like, this hospital is only paying for 2 hours either way, and it's the second busiest ingress and egress in the state of California, right? Look, I've been doing stuff behind the scenes. I'm working with Fondamonte in Saudi Arabia. I mean, like, trying to get them to pitch in. I was in Gavin Newsom's office a couple of months ago. I'm really trying to get this saved. And I have all faith in the world that I really can do this. And what I'd like is if you guys could email me. I think what is being lost here is the personal, how this is going to affect all of you guys. And if you guys could, email info@Owens for us, and just give me a little snippet of what this hospital means to you, so I can use that to make sure that when we're talking to other people, that they can see that this is a human level issue. So if you guys could do that for me, it would help me. We're really trying to help save this place, and I have all the faith in the world that we can do it, but we really need to give this thing a little bit of a personal touch, Mike. Over. Thank you, guys.
Any more public comment? Okay, seeing none.
Yeah.
Couple of things. Number one is this meeting is held illegally, for your information. You have no meeting on Wednesday. When you adjourn the meeting, you have no power to adjourn the meeting because there was no meeting. You didn't have a quorum to make a decision. You can't make unilateral decision. You could notice the public and hold another meeting. Besides, this meeting was from Wednesday. Why was it emergency notice? Why wasn't it a special meeting notice, which required 24 hours notice? You could have done that, you didn't. And since there was no meeting on Wednesday, adjournment of the day was illegal. Second, I don't see any item on the agenda about what the city council went backward to approve for this hospital, which is the $330,000 loan, in exchange for you agreeing to have the management of the hospital be replaced by the county. I don't see that either. And that was originally on another agenda you guys forwarded, but I believe that you realized that was special meeting / emergency meeting was illegal, so you changed it. I disagree with the gentleman that it doesn't matter how we got here, we have to go from here on. How we got here is very important. If we don't learn from our mistakes, we will repeat it. History is important. Carmela Garnica is the #1 cause of this failure. And this hospital was doing fine for a few years, and then Trina became the owner of everything, and she started to become a hospital employee. Then the agenda changed, and they started going down, and then they did nothing. In spite of all the discussion, they did nothing. Dr. Ricardo mentioned something about all the patients going out. Yes, I brought it up to Carmela, I brought it up to Trina, I brought it up to Sandy and Aya. And I said, you guys need to buy the practices of the doctors who are leaving town, or Dr. Taglino, who passed away. You guys didn't. And his patient went to Dr. V, and Dr. V sent them out. I told you guys to negotiate with SAC Health and Intercare. What did you do? Nothing. Because doing nothing was easy. Write the check. Just keep writing a check from COVID fund, and this is where we are. And Dr. Ricardo, nice guy, I gave him $100,000 with his partner about 20 years ago to go to a share with the surgery center in Palm Springs. I never saw that $100,000 back, and they went bankrupt. So even though he's a nice guy, I would caution you very carefully how you're gonna tread the water with somebody with that reputation. And if you're bringing support by bringing Sylvia Herrera and your crowd to get a little publicity, it's not gonna help. Your failure is the best, your failure is the best evidence.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman, board members, staff, and our community, and any stakeholders that are on the phone. My name is Leslie Jessup Watkins. This day can go one of two ways for our valley, and I'm hopeful we will have an open local hospital after midnight. With any business, municipality, community, or county, and even our own lives, there are cycles, many cycles. Positive, negative, trying, easy. Often it is time for the cycle to end as the life has had its sunset. As the prior owner of Blythe Ambulance, it was our responsibility to know when it was time to welcome the sunset after 32 years of our family serving this community. There were factors we were unable to overcome, much like the hospital has not been able to. Political, regulatory, outright fraud and greed by others, and the instability of our local hospital. That was 15 years ago, and we are amazed it has taken this long for everything to come to fruition that we knew was in the forefront and on the horizon back then. Rory and I want to thank everyone at these meetings, at the council meetings, at the state level, online, and everyone in this room for the fortitude displayed and the energy given in the last year. The attempts to bring light to a brewing disaster in our community have not gone unnoticed. Just like we made a decision 15 years ago that our independence from the rest of the county was no longer an option for the EMS system to survive, it is now time for our hospital board and administration to acknowledge the same. The cycle has ended. It is time to let go and no longer be independent from the rest of the county. It is vital that we accept the county and city's support to have a viable emergency room and healthcare system in our community. The city and county are willing to assist and provide for our community. The county has the resources to maintain the operation of an emergency room and affiliated services. The county understands the strain of the 911 EMS system and our volunteer fire department if there's not an emergency room in Blythe. People will die. And if they survive, they will likely have irreparable lifelong issues. It is simply time for the sunset of our existing healthcare district board and administration. We truly appreciate the potential opportunities that lie ahead if we can acknowledge the sunset and accept a different pathway forward. Thank you to everyone who's contributed to what we hope is an open hospital in Blythe, California tonight at midnight.
Okay, any more public comment? Okay, see none, public comment is now closed. Any comments from the board? Ms. Hudson? Ms. Sardi, do you have any comment on this topic?
No, not at this time.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve that the Board of Directors of the Palo Verde Health District finds that an emergency meeting of the Board of Directors is necessary pursuant to Government Code Section 5495 6.5A1 and B, involving the matters upon which prompt action is necessary due to the disruption or present disruption of public healthcare facilities. Is there a motion?
Madam President, may I make an
Yes.
announcement? Thank you. We will run the emergency meeting scheduled for January 7th, 2026, which was adjourned for today, January 9th, 2026, concurrently with the special meeting of the Board of Directors scheduled for today. Thank you.
So is there a motion? Is there a second?
A second.
Call for the question?
President Carmela Garnica,
Aye.
Director Trina Sarden.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Ms. Hudson.
Aye.
Okay, B.
President Garnica, if I may be recognized.
Yes.
It is recommended at this time to table item 2B and move to item 5A in the special meeting packet. And then pending our pursuant to the actions of 5A, we will return to item 2B in the emergency meeting. The recommendation is to table item 2B currently in the emergency board meeting packet. Move to item 5A, the emergency bridge loan in special meeting packet, and then move back to item 2B in the emergency packet.
So if I may be heard, I would recommend just changing, instead of saying tabling, I'm sorry, Michael, I know that came from me, just change the order, okay? That is our recommendation, is to do the loan first from the city and then that item regarding the disruption. Thank you.
Current agendas, please. Nobody in this audience has a current agenda. Karen. We are not following any of this.
I place copies on outside of both the emergency and the special. They're not combined, they're two separate. We're running them concurrently. I do apologize, I do see that it can be very confusing.
My bad.
Madam Chair, if I could ask a question before we move on. I'd like to know exactly how much cash we have in the bank prior to voting on this.
We're voting on the emergency bridge loan?
No, but I'd like to know how much cash we have in the bank.
Spent like $300,000.
Okay.
Said 1,000.
$300,000 is what is currently in the bank. Oh, Michael, we're going to pay a heart attack.
Okay, so we will move to item 5, action item. So emergency bridge loan to the Palo Verde Health District from the city of Blythe. Michael Rose.
On January 8th, 2026 at 2:18 p.m., the district received an email from Mallory Creselius, interim city manager to the city of Blythe, transmitting the agenda packet for the Blythe City Council special meeting scheduled for today, January 9th, 2026 at 1 p.m. The agenda included consideration of an item authorizing an emergency bridge loan to Palo Verde Healthcare District. Specifically, resolution number 2026-001 proposes approval of a budget amendment in the amount of $330,000 from fiscal year 2025-2026 budget surplus funds to provide gap funding to the Palo Verde Healthcare District. I will say we received the loan draft earlier this afternoon after the meeting. The conditions are not yet finalized, so staff would recommend the board approves the loan subject to further legal negotiations.
Madam President, if I may add to that, please.
Yes.
Just moments ago, I spoke with the city manager and the city attorney regarding the proposed loan. So if the loan is to be approved with the city, subject to additional negotiations between council and leadership of the district and the city, this will allow for approximately 1 additional week of payroll, I believe, as Michael has indicated. This time will allow for discussions with the county, city, and other stakeholders regarding transition opportunities. So also in discussions with the city manager and the city attorney, should the loan be approved, they will be prepared. The city would be prepared to issue a check as of Monday morning. Thank you.
I'm assuming that check would be issued, Lena, once the conditions are met.
Well, the conditions aren't they're not as onerous as you probably believe. But we will share the document with you. It's a draft right now, but we are still working on the terms of the agreement. Yes.
Back to my original question. The money will not be dispersed until the agreement is fully signed. Is that correct?
Okay, I thought you said when conditions were met. Fully executed, correct.
Okay.
So we're going to be working over the weekend. I already spoke with the city attorney and city manager. So again, we just got the draft maybe 30 minutes or so before this meeting. So we need an opportunity to review and to discuss with them.
Okay, so is there, Tina, you have any other questions regarding this?
No, I don't at this time.
I don't either. Open to public comment.
Sure. It's your understanding that the check will not be given to you until the conditions are met. Want to make sure that you know what's going to be happening, and you know having the county be able to come in and do what they need to do to make things happen.
Okay, any more public comment?
So are we closing tonight or no?
Any more public comment? Yeah.
I think that loan from the city, hospital fails, shouldn't we make sure the hospital's not going to fail before we take money from the city? It's a lot of money to take from the city for a week's payroll.
Okay, is there any more public comment?
Ma'am, can I get your full name, please? Jennifer Lambert. Thank you. So just want to on that sheet.
Okay, seeing none, we will now go to close public comment.
Hello. This is the problem with the disease of this hospital, and this is one of them. I come and tell you that I don't see the item for the loan here. You were at the city council meeting. You saw professional way of running a board or a meeting. You ask questions, they answer. They engage you. They treat you like you're a public member. You treat the public like they are nobody. She's asking you a question. You didn't even acknowledge that she asked a question. All right? She's asking you a question. Is this going to happen? No, you didn't care. You had no iota of caring or humanity in you to answer. Okay? Now, I said there's no agenda about that loan. You didn't say, yes, it is. Out there's another agenda. I just told you, this special meeting is illegal. You didn't notice it appropriately. This emergency meeting is illegal. Trina Sartan voting on this item has a conflict of interest, Government Code 1090, for which I was arrested, okay, for conflict of interest, for a lot less than Trina. Trina is a hospital employee, I was not. She cannot take a vote, and on that vote, she cannot secure her own future and her job. That's conflict of interest. She cannot be even in a room where that discussion occurs. She needs to recuse herself and walk out. Then the rest of the board the rest of the board don't have the majority. You don't have a quorum. You don't understand what you're doing. You send agenda, an emergency agenda. You say by 5 p.m. we have to get $2 million or close. Well, now it's 5:30. If you were honest and truthful, then the hospital would have been closed by now. You're scaring the public. You're scaring the people so you can get the money and spend it on administration and your own self. Send more money to your banks and your company. And as she said, this city, you look at the clock, there's a few more seconds left. You're worried about it, Carmela, I can see. You think it's funny and you're laughing. This is the life of people in this town. This is the hospital future and you're laughing about it. That is fine. But one day you'll pay back. One day when your relative die in this town, when there's nobody, then you realize what you did to this town. And 5 p.m., give us $2 million or we close the hospital. Was that a lie? Now it's $300,000 from the city. The city bent backward to give you $300,000. That $330,000 was out of the total of $500,000 money they have extra. What if there's an emergency in this town? What if the water line breaks? What if there's an earthquake? What if there's a fire? They have no money to help this town. Now you want to get that money, at least have the decency. Sandy Hudson signed a resignation, ready to go. Dr. Brooks resigned. You and Trina have the decency in the town.
Public comment? Does anybody else have more public comment?
Yes, may I make a comment, ma'am? I think the city was very generous in making this up.
Madam President, and then
May I make a comment?
Yes, they make a comment.
Thank you. What I'd like to say is that the city was very generous.
welcome their gun no more. Well, that's a fact. So we just keep it to me, like, don't be don't bullshit. If you and him got arrested yesterday and he took you shut up. You don't even got a medical license.
Can please come to the officer, please? Would you please stand in the front just so we have order in the meeting? Thank you.
It's the truth.
Okay. So,
Madam Chairman, may I make a comment or no?
yes,
Well,
go ahead, make a comment.
Madam, would you like to
Thank
give
you,
me an
ma'am.
order?
Can you please, somebody's making a public comment, can we please hear him out?
I want to thank the city for extending these funds, and I encourage the hospital to take the offer because the hospital really does deserve the IGT funding, and hopefully that will come through next week, and that will do a great deal of good for the hospital. But beyond that is the RHT funding, the Rural Health Transformation funding, that is coming out of Washington and is being handled by Governor Newsom and his office. And for rural health, and there's approximately $250 million, more or less, available for rural health situations in California. And I can't think of a greater cause than the cause of keeping Palo Verde Hospital going, because it's perhaps the most rural hospital in the entire state, 100 miles from the closest hospital in California. And it deserves to be maintained. And moreover, there are 18 to 20,000 people in the district, which is enough of a medical economy to not only replace the hospital at some point in the not too distant future, like 3 to 4 years, but to also build a clinic, with full-time doctors, perhaps 24, perhaps more than that. 20,000 people is a big population, and the yearly economy is well over $100 million. It could be closer to $200 million that is spent every year on healthcare on your constituents, but that money is spent largely in the Coachella Valley and Loma Linda, and to a little degree in Brawley. So with our organization, we can bring the patients back to Palo Verde Hospital, expand the hospital, expand medical resources, expand the medical staff, and you'll have a wonderful new hospital that you'll just be very proud of. Thank you.
Okay, any more public comment?
I don't know who that gentleman was, but Leslie Joseph Watkins, and as it relates to the IGT funding, I read this earlier at the City Council meeting. This letter was dated yesterday from Sean Garber, Division Chief, Capitated Rates Development, California Health Department of Healthcare Services. And the letter is to the healthcare district, and it thanks them for responding with regard to the IGT in the amount of $3.445 million for the calendar year 2024. Based on DHCS's review of information supplied by Palo Verde and other publicly available information concerning the source of the IGT contribution, DHCS is unable to accept Palo Verde's certification that the IGT contribution derives from permissible sources. As such, and pursuant to Welfare and Institutions Codes, DHCS declines to accept Palo Verde's IGT contribution for the site's fiscal year. DHCS will immediately initiate the process to prompt return of the funds in question, the $3.445 million, to Palo Verde and to remove Palo Verde from participating in the VRRP. Please note that removal from the VRRP is not prejudicial to eligibility to participate for future program years. So I'm sorry, but he must not be informed of that because he stated that we're still working on that. This letter from the state of California, Department of Health Services, clearly states that the answer is no. They're returning our deposit in order to get that money, and that money should be forthcoming into the coffers. Whether the loan fund, people who loan the money will swipe it or what's going to happen, I have no idea. But the IGT system issue is over, according to them yesterday.
Okay, any more public comment? Okay, having none, we now close public comment. Any more added comment from the board? Any more added comment from the board? Tina? Pardon?
Yes, this is a matter of the entire community, and this is being addressed towards legal counsel. Is there any conflict with me voting?
If the matter applies to everyone in the community, not you particularly, yes, you may vote.
That's what I thought. Thank you for clarification on the record.
Madam President, may I make a clarification on the motion?
Yes, thank you.
The motion should be to approve the loan with the city subject to additional negotiations with council, representatives, and district representatives. This will allow for approximately 1 additional week of payroll to allow for additional discussions with the county, city, and other stakeholders, regardless of potential transition opportunities.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the emergency bridge loan to the Palo Verde Health District from the city of Blythe? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I need a second. Tina, you need a second?
Yeah, I made the first motion.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, so the moved and seconded. Call for the question.
Director Sarden?
Aye.
Thank you. Dr. Brooks is absent. Director Hudson?
Aye.
Thank you. President Garnica?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to move back to the emergency packet.
Move to item 2B.
Item 2B. Okay, item
2B.
Which meeting are we on? I'm sorry.
Emergency one.
The emergency.
Item 2B. Potential disruption or threatened disruption of public healthcare facilities.
Okay, so item B, potential disruption or threatened disruption of public healthcare facilities. No. Okay.
If I'm correct,
Yes.
as Ms. Watkins had DHCS's response regarding the IGT funds, that does cover a number of the discussions regarding this item. So right now, we know that the district is in Chapter 9 bankruptcy, protection, and actively working to reorganize and restructure its debts in order to continue operations. As part of this effort, on December 11th, the district funded its share of the state of California's Medi-Cal or Medicaid match through the IGT administered fund. The district had filed a motion in federal bankruptcy court outlining its interpretation of the statutes governing the VRRP and obtained a court order related to the loan and the associated transaction. In the prior 2 years, the district funded its IGT obligations using a combination of working line of credit, from its community bank and limited cash reserves. With this, we did learn from the state, from DHCS, that they did not approve of the funds, and the funds will be returned to the district. As has been stated, I believe since before the start of the fiscal year, the IGT fund was needed to balance the budget through the end of the fiscal year. And without this funding, it puts the district in a very difficult predicament. So with the vote of for the bridge loan from the city pursuant to the finalization of the terms for the city to issue those funds, we move that the closure of the hospital may be postponed by the receipt of the $330,000 from the city for the one additional week of capital that would be provided by the city loan.
Okay, so
And Ms. Wade, is there anything to add to this?
I don't believe so. Although, let me just add this, yes. So if the loan documents with the city are not ultimately executed, there is no money to move forward with all the employees coming in every day. So Michael, do you want to address that?
Yes, if the loan is not forthcoming, then there will not be enough money to continue to bring staff to work, in which case then closure of the hospital would become imminent.
okay. Are there any questions from the board regarding this item? Ms. Hartley,
No.
public comment?
Would you like Ms. Hudson have a comment?
No, she is okay.
My name is Steve Colton. I have a question for Michael. Michael, are those funds that you're getting from the city strictly going for payroll and nothing else? Is that part of the stipulations?
I do not know if that is the final. Right now, my understanding is that would be for payroll expenses to be able to continue operations, but that is subject to final negotiation with general counsel, both from the district and from the city. So, yes.
Another question. Is that just for the hospital, or is the clinic still going to be open and you're going to be paying the salaries over there also?
My understanding is that this would be for the
Emergency room facilities?
this would be for all payroll for the district.
So that would be all of you then.
Okay, the more public, oh, go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair. I also have a question for Mr. Rose. The 3.445 refund from the escrow account. What is the outlook as far as how that transaction will occur when that money comes in? What happens to that?
Pursuant to general counsel, my understanding and the loan agreement, my understanding is that would be returned.
They have the option to sweep it, or we will write them a check, or
I do not know at this time.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Okay, any more public comment?
First, I'm not chief financial officer, but obviously they'll take it themselves. The chief financial officer should know that.
Okay, are you on public comment?
What else?
Are you doing public comment?
What else we do?
Okay, so we can start your public comment?
So, yes, the agreement states that the loaning company has the authority to take the money themselves. They have the authority to lien the account receivable. They have no power. They have all the power to take the money. Okay, first. Second, if Vino wants to go down with this attorney's advice, I remind you that this attorney is the one who advised you guys, go ahead and apply for the IGT money. It's not illegal, it's acceptable. And I beg you guys, I cried, I went to court, I went in front of the bankruptcy attorney, and I told him, this is not going to be approved by Department of Health because you're getting the loan to get money, and that's illegal. But the attorney for the hospital says, no, it's not. You guys went down with that attorney's advice. Now you are $300,000 on the hook. You lost $300,000 for that wrong advice. You paid $150,000, $200,000 initiation fee. You've been paying $100,000 interest. You got a loan of $4 million. with 30% interest. That's a sharp loan, people. But you did that in order to get $9 million. You got sick. You got nothing because you listened to that attorney. Now, that same attorney tells you that it's not conflict of interest, government code 1090. Get an attorney for yourself, Trina. Okay, get Robert Trask, who knows about conflict of interest. He'll tell you otherwise. Now, another thing is, if you go by your own declaration, you need $2 million by 5 p.m. or the hospital closes. What happened to that statement? Was that false? Was that a lie? Or was that true? Now it's almost 6 o'clock. You didn't get the $2 million. Are you going to close us? Another question which the board should have asked, and I don't know why the board is not asking your chief financial officer, is how much money does this hospital has in its account today?
They answered that.
Michael, can you answer that?
They answered it.
Michael Rose, could you answer that?
It's on the screen.
On the screen, how much is that?
300,000.
Are you Michael Rose?
No, but you talk nonsense. They should have done ask 5 times, so.
Maybe if your IQ was a little better, you would have understanding of
You go to prison, you went to court to
would have been here. If I had few children protection services, maybe I would be as stupid as all you are. Get the fuck up and do it.
Get that line out of here, please. Leave Becky out.
So, she is the one who interrupted me. My 3 minutes of
Order, please. Order, please. Order, please.
Order.
Order.
So if you have 300.
Your time is up. Order.
He was interrupted though.
Order. Okay, next item. Is there any more public comment? Is there any more public comment? Okay, seeing none, we now close public comment. Okay. Okay, so, is there a motion to approve that the board authorize the directing officers professionally
Lena, would you be able to confirm the motion is the correct motion on the agenda?
And restate it, please. Thank you.
Ms. Wade? Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
No, yes. So this should be the motion. The board authorize and direct the officers and professionals of the district to execute the posting and delivering of closure notices in accordance with state law for the indefinite cessation of medical services at the Palo Verde Community Clinic. We can move that date now for, what would be the new date, Michael, now that we have the potential for the receipt of funds from the
It
city?
would be next Friday.
January 16th.
Yes, thank you. January 16th.
Okay, at, would it be 12 a.m. still?
Yes.
Okay. Including refusal to admit any new patients at such time and date and to implement an orderly closure plan for the prompt furlough of all essential employees, contractors, and personnel, provided that the district receives funds from the city following full execution of the loan agreement prior to, or as of Monday, what's Monday's date? January 12th? Yeah.
Yes.
2024. So if that changes, you do have a special meeting scheduled for the 14th, and we can address it further at that time.
Thank you, Ms. Wade.
You got it.
We couldn't hear because of the stuff here. Skip the nuts and bolts, but
Ms. Wade, did you hear Ms. Watkins? There was a lot of background noise, and everybody in the room didn't get to hear.
Okay, so it's essentially, Joanna, it's essentially the same motion. However, change the date to January the 16th at 12 a.m. Provided that the city and the districts execute the city loan and the district receive the loan funds no later than Monday.
So that's Thursday
January
night
12th.
at midnight.
Correct. And if that changes, this will be
12 a.m. Friday, the 16th. That's Friday night or Thursday night at midnight.
Yes,
would be
that is correct. The closure date would be
Right.
January 16th at 12 a.m.
This
And
would
it's
be
an opportunity to
Friday, Thursday night at midnight.
Oh, 12 a.m. Friday.
Yeah, 12 a.m. Friday is midnight on Thursday.
16.
I'm sorry.
So would you like to move the date to the
Correct.
Saturday?
Could we move it to 11:59 p.m. on January 16th, 2026?
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Just like that, because of that. Remember?
And that date, you're setting that date if you don't get the city money.
We're setting that date with the week of the city money.
With the week of city money.
We're setting that date for in case we have to close if we are not receiving money.
Yes, if you don't receive the money. If you receive the money, then the date will be hopefully extended.
Okay.
Not until the next meeting on the 14th, Mr.
We're
Mayor.
gonna know something else.
We have a meeting on the 14th.
Okay, is there a motion? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Open question?
Director Sargent?
Aye.
Thank you. Director Burke is absent. Director Hudson?
Aye.
President Garnica?
Aye. Okay, we will now go, so we go now to closed session or no? We're gonna go to closed session?
I don't.
President Garnica, I don't believe
understand.
Do we go to?
I don't believe a closed session is necessary at this time. You can always have one during that special meeting. This was a lot.
Okay, so we just adjourned. Okay, so the next scheduled meeting of the Palo Verde Health District Board of Directors will be held on Wednesday, January 14th at 6 p.m. at the council chambers, City Hall.
Excuse me?
Broadway, yes?
Is it possible to just ask a very quick question for clarification?
No, we're closed. We're past that. Sorry.
So what happens if conditions are not met and the money is not received on Monday? Is the hospital closed?
Right, you can ask that question right after the meeting.
Emma, you may also email me if you'd like.
Thank you.
This is Joanna Gonzalez. You have my email. You're welcome.
So the next scheduled meeting of the Palo Verde Health District Board of Directors will be held on Wednesday, January 14th at 6 p.m. at City Council Chambers, Blythe City Hall, 235 North Highway, Blythe, California. Meeting is adjourned.